Adams Archive.
Whether it be the chimeras that were coming out of China, whether it was the sheep that was cloned, whether it was like the baby pods that they were talking about, basically taking the sperm of the father and the egg of the mother and putting it in this like pod that they were going to grow a human out of. And then more recently, even creating children from stem cells, which is the most probably dystopian of all of this. But this is just along those lines. So in China, they cloned a monkey for the first time that survived in good health after 112 failed attempts. Now, this says that Chinese scientists used the same method that made Dolly the sheep in 1996, but it has lived longer than any other cloned primate. Now, I think they gave this thing a name, this one, not Dolly. I think it's called Retro. Yeah, that's the monkey's name. The cloned monkey's name is Retro. A monkey has been successfully cloned by Chinese scientists, and in the world's first, has so far lived for 2 years. Researchers have cloned primates before using the same method that created Dolly the sheep in 1996, but none have ever lived for long, either dying before birth or shortly afterwards. Now, that was a conversation that I brought up last time when we're talking about the human baby pods and, the human cloning is like, how many times are you going to go through this, whether it's the stem cell research, whatever it is, how many research subjects, the chimeras, fill in the blank. How many research subjects do you have to go through until you successfully create a clone, right? And they say 112. I'm sure they would rather not have people, beating down their door to shut them down. So I'm sure that number is multiples higher than what they're reporting there. Just like I'm sure it would be if they started to clone humans, if they started these little weird baby pods, if they made these stem cell babies, chimeras, whatever it is, there's going to be a massive amount of casualties and gross scientific experimentation that goes into it. So to me, anything and everything that revolves creating life that doesn't have to do with, any scientist that's sitting there with two beakers, pouring them together or whatever the hell type of stuff they're doing here, it is just sick. It's sickening to me because the torture that they put these, even the 2 days of the trying to clone these monkeys or the chimeras or whatever it is just the amount of agony and the torture that they must go through as a result of getting this one cloned monkey. And for what reason? Like what is the goal of this? Why? What is the problem that we have to start cloning things? What is wrong with reproduction current state? Well, I'll tell you what's wrong with that. You want to get deeper and deeper into that is you'll understand the idea that they don't want you. And this was something that I talked about with the baby pods. What's the most concerning to me, is that that's no longer your property. You remove the mother and the father from the reproductive process, then you remove the hormones that are released when that baby is born. And as a result, you remove the protective shelter, the hormones, the motherly instincts that come as a result of birthing a child, that come as a result of having a child that is half your DNA and half the DNA of your spouse. Now you, go to a government center and pay $5,000 or whatever, and now they get to create a baby on your behalf. Only, by the way, it's not your baby. It's their property. They created it. You did not create it. And so that is one of the most dystopian ideas, let alone the idea that they can start to interject whatever types of CRISPR technology that they want to make the child, the monkey, whatever it is, more agreeable, more likely to be, and this will actually even lead us into our next conversation, to be more agreeable, to be less aggressive, to have different and more personality traits that are going to lead them to vote a certain way, that are going to lead them to act a certain way, that are going to lead them to be less or more docile and less likely to revolt, whatever it is. When you take reproduction and you give that to the government, right? You have China now cloning monkeys. For what end? I don't think they just want to clone monkeys. That's obviously not the goal. The goal is to clone humans. But why? Why? So let's finish this article. It says, however, a modified technique designed to create a stronger placenta has seen a rhesus monkey be cloned, be born, and live healthily for more than 2 years, making it the longest lived primate clone yet. The animal was labeled retro. Only one birth was successful from a total of 113 attempts. So they tortured 112 monkeys to create one. The process, called somatic cell nuclear transfer, involves extracting the genetic information from a standard cell and implanting it into an egg from another monkey that has had its own genetic material removed. Now they have this cute little diagram of how they cloned this monkey, but who cares? To me, that's the whole conversation, right? And I think that, even brings up an interesting conversation about surrogacy and, IVF, and like, there's definitely more to be talked about there. But I do think, to me, this is highly concerning because you see exactly where this is going. We know what the end goal is. But why is that the end goal? Because we can. And I think that's probably the fair answer to all of these scientists, right? It's like the people who are commissioning these scientists to do these types of experiments, they have the goal in mind, right? They have an idea of what they want to do this for. And it's going to be profitable, right? It's going to be a reason that they can make money off of it, right? And that was the baby pods, right? Like, imagine Epstein Island having a whole lower layer underneath his island of baby pods, like just all of the horrific things. And if you haven't heard of like the offshore, like, child trafficking stuff, is just horrific. And they don't have social security numbers. They don't have moms. They don't have dads. Nobody's looking after them. And just, there's no reason to open up this box. There's nothing good behind it. Absolutely nothing. What possibly could come from this that would be good? And then you get into the philosophical conversations. Does this monkey have, or human down the road, does it have a soul? Is it from a religious perspective? Is it a child of God? Is it something that is going to have similar traits even? Is it going to be sociable? Like, there's so much that will go into this, and just why? Why do you want to do this, right? But scientists want to do it because A, they're getting paid lots of money to do it, but also B, because they just want to see if they can do it, right? Scientists have a certain type of personality where they just want to see if they can make something happen, right? You have a hypothesis, you put it to the test, and all of a sudden you're creating an army of lifeless, soulless, monkey human hybrids. To me, there's nothing good behind that wall, and this is just another step towards that, another step towards whatever it is the reason, right? There's so many different ways that you could go with that is completely dystopian, and I can't think of a single good scenario that would come from human cloning. I just can't. There's zero scenarios where that's a good thing for humanity. Especially in a world where they're telling us that we're overpopulating, when we're obviously not. The population's on a decline. But if we're overpopulating on our own and reproducing way too much, according to them, why are you trying to clone humans? What's the point of that? Anyways, so let's segue into our next conversation. This one is more recent and about politics. And what that drives us from the last conversation into, and what I mentioned earlier, is they can change with CRISPR technology how you might vote by changing certain personality traits. They make you a little bit less aggressive. They make you a little bit more agreeable. They make you a little bit more creative and a little bit less, productive, whatever it is. There's so many little traits within your genes that are encoded inside of your body.
Adam's Archive.